Welcome to this week's Forex Market Update. We'll be taking a deep dive into the world of Forex to help you stay ahead of the game. So subscribe to this channel, sit back and let's get into it. Now, as usual, I start my analysis from the dollar index. Why do I do this? In case you are joining us for the first time, the dollar index measures the strength or weakness of the US dollar. And I mostly trade the major currency pairs, which includes the US dollar, right? So that is why I like to look at the dollar index before going into the charts to make trading decisions, right? Now, our dollar index is finally at my long-term area. I've been looking at this area since the close of this candlestick, right? And we've done nothing but that. Market has been dropping ever since, and now we are sitting on this support. Now, like I told you, or like I've been saying in my previous videos, that when price gets here, two things is likely going to happen. We can either, this is a monthly time frame, by the way, so two things is likely going to happen from here. You see that we bounce off upward like this, or we still break below and keep dropping to the downside. So those are the two possibilities that I can see right here, right now. But for now, let's not ignore the fact that price is sitting on this zone. So two things may happen. Next week, we may see a bounce, right? Or price might keep falling to the downside. But don't worry, I'm going to show you where I'll be buying should price want to continue buying, or where I'll be selling should price decides to what to sell. Just stick with me, we are getting there shortly. Now down to the weekly time frame. Last week closed with a doji. If I zoom in, you can see properly. So last week price closed with a doji. So, and when a doji forms at a key level like this, remember we are sitting on the monthly support level, right? Now you don't want to overlook higher time frame and levels, all right? So now a doji is forming on this very key monthly level. A weekly doji candlestick is sitting on it. So two things may happen. We may see a bullish push next week into the zone, or we may see price push below before we bounce. But I expect us to bounce at least for a bit. Even if price is going to keep collapsing, I don't think I expect price to just blast through and keep falling down. I mean, this is a monthly zone we are talking about, so I won't be surprised if I see price push down a little for the early part of next week before we push upward, or for price to just open next week and we'll start pushing upward, right? And if price goes up on the dollar index, then expect a strong dollar on most of the dollar pairs. And if price keeps pushing lower, then expect a weak dollar next week. Hope you get the point. Let's go to the daily time frame. Throughout last week, market pretty much moved sideways. I mean, we have 5 trading days in a week, right? And if you count 5 candles from this point, this is the daily time frame. So each of these candlesticks represent 1 day of price action. So it's obvious that price moved sideways after breaking below this trend line here. Price basically traded sideways. However, I'm expecting price to still push to this support. Why? Because it has been tested multiple times, and I don't see any reason why price is ranging around this zone here. So I still expect one final push, maybe before the bounce happens. All right, but fingers crossed. Let's watch how that plays out next week. All right, so putting this in mind, let's quickly go and look at some currency pairs and how we are going to be trading them next week, starting with the euro dollar. So this is the weekly time frame on the euro dollar. Price has been pretty much bullish for quite some time now, but I'm expecting price to come into this black area here. Let's go to the daily time frame so that we can see clearly. On the daily time frame, price has been creating continuous higher highs and higher lows, obviously, right? So now I'll be expecting price to come into this zone. Now, two things is going to happen when price gets to this zone. We either bounce off or we break above. All right, when we get there, we are going to find out what happens next. All right, but for next week, even if price is going to drop, I'm still expecting price to at least push upward a bit before the drop. All right, now let's go to the 4-hour time frame. So now on the 4-hour time frame, price has been pretty much bullish, also creating higher highs and higher lows, streaking all the way to the upside. But for the best part of last week, price ranged. All right, so I saw a lot of confusion amongst traders here, and once again, I always tell you guys that when the market looks confusing, just close your laptop and let the trade go. Don't try to force trades. All right, you cannot force trades. It will not move because you are trying to buy or sell. All right, you are just going to end up hurting yourself. So for next week, I'm still expecting one final push to the upside. If price wants to collapse, actually I'll be expecting one final push to the upside before the collapse. All right, but what happens? What if price opens next week and it starts maybe dropping? Let's say we start seeing a strong US dollar. Then I'll come to the 1 hour time frame. It's obvious price has been finding it difficult to break above this zone. So I'll be waiting for price to break below this trend line for me to now enter a sell. All right. Actually, if you want to look for a more conservative way to trade this, I will use the 4 hour trend line. But if you are looking for an early entry, then use the 1 hour. All right. So I'll wait for a break below this trend line. That's if price fails to break above here and keep pushing higher. Remember, if price breaks above here and keep pushing higher, then we are supposed to buy. All right. But if price fails to break here and keeps pushing lower and breaks this trend line, then we are going to sell to this trend line. And if we break below this trend line, then we know that our sell is now established. All right, so that is that with the euro dollar. Remember, I've given you two possible scenarios. All right, up or down. Up if we break above here, down here if we break above here, wait for a retest before buying. All right, and here if we break below here, I'm just going to sell. All right, because I know that we close with a dodgy candle at a key level on the dollar index. So if we break below here, then I'll just assume that dollar is going to be bullish for next week. All right, now let's go to GBPUSD. On GBPUSD, let me look at the weekly time frame. We closed pretty much bullish last week. All right, and I don't see anything holding this trade here right now, so I expect price to keep pushing to this zone here. All right, however, if that doesn't happen, remember in forex, like I always say, we think in probabilities, but actually I'm expecting price to keep pushing to the upside. If you remember, last 2 weeks or so I predicted a 470 pip move to this upside, and so far so good. We've moved, was it last 2 weeks or so? I think so. Then so far we've moved about 199 pips, let's just say 200 pips. So our price is still creating higher highs and higher lows, as you can see. Let me map it out nicely. We created a high here, higher low, higher high, higher low, a higher high, a higher low. Now with this push upward, typical market structure, I'll be expecting a higher high. So on the 4 hour time frame, on the Zoom one-on-one mentorship program, we actually took this trade. We used a pending order, a buy stop order, but I don't know why. I'm going to attach the screenshots. I don't know why my order didn't get filled. But that of the students on the program got filled and they are in profit right now. We actually placed that trade. Let's go to the 1 hour time frame. Sorry, don't mind my choppy chat. I use this as just an example during the mentorship class. All right, so please ignore that. This is a long time trend line, right, that has been respected here before. So when price came into it, we expected that bounce, right? We expected that bounce, and now it gave us some kind of a double top at that level. Sorry, double bottom at that level, right? So after the close of this 1 hour candlestick, we bought. All right. So actually, I asked them when price came into this zone and was bouncing off, I asked them to place a buy stop order around here, right? Which got filled, and price has been pushing up ever since. I mean, they are over, I think they are currently above 1-to-1 reward to risk ratio at the moment, and I've asked them to lock in some profits. All right, so however, back to our analysis, that was how we entered it. I don't know why, for whatever reason, my own didn't get filled. I think I'm going to share a screenshot here. But now back to what we are seeing now. Price has broken above this counter trend line, so it's lacking, it's losing steam, right? So we might see two things on Monday. We might get a retest. If we get a bullish engulfing candle or a hammer candle, then we can keep buying all the way to the upside here. all right? But if that fails to happen, we'll go to the 4-hour time frame. This is how I'm going to trade this on the 4-hour time frame. If price actually wants to drop for next week, I'll wait for price to break below this trend line. Once it breaks below this trend line, I will want it to create a new lower low, which means I will want it to come into this zone, right? Now, two things is going to happen. If we break below this zone and retest it, then I can sell. Or if we come to this zone, have some kind of a pullback, maybe if we see some kind of a pullback into this neckline, because if this happens, I'll consider this a double top. I'll consider this a double top, right? So if we break below, I would like to see price come here. Then if we break below here without any form of retest back here, if we break below here, I'll definitely wait for that retest. But if we come to this zone and we go back into this zone and I see selling pressure, I'm just going to sell direct. I'll put my stop loss above here and my take profit way below. All right, so you see the two probabilities, one on the 1-hour time frame, which is a break and retest of this trend line, then we'll push higher. Or if for a sell, a break below this zone, a retest, then we keep pushing to the downside. So that is how I'm going to trade that. USD CAD, I shared this chart a long time ago on the Telegram channel, I think early this week. Yes, early this week. So I'm going to put that screenshot here, right? So on the daily time frame, I expected price to keep pushing lower, and that is exactly what price has been doing. Yes, we ranged for the best part of last week, but towards Friday, or let me say on Friday, price really pushed down. In the analysis I sent out, which I'm going to be attaching a screenshot here, I predicted price to come here to this line, but we came a little bit below, then pull back into this zone, just exactly like I said. Price did exactly like I said, came back into this zone and we collapsed significantly. So for next week, I can't find any buying opportunity here, so I'm just going to stick to selling opportunities here. For next week, now we've broken below this counter trend line. So for next week, I think price is still going to break further below. I would like to see something like this. I would like to see for price to come into this zone. Then if it's committed to falling, I want to see a retest, then selling pressure to enter. If I see that selling pressure, I'll put my stop loss here, then my take profit here. So this is how I'm going to trade the USD CAD. All right, so that is that with the USD CAD. Now US oil, I'm still patiently waiting for US oil. All right, let's go to the weekly time frame. We closed with some pretty much bullish candle. I told you we ranged, I think I talked about this in last week's video. This is the monthly zone that price is reacting to presently. If you've not seen that last week's video, you may just go to last week's video. You are going to see what I'm talking about here. I predicted this bounce, and that is what is happening. Why did I predict the bounce? Because we are sitting on a monthly time frame area or zone that has been tested multiple times before. Looking left, right, and now price is reacting to that zone. Let's go to the weekly time frame. For the first time, price has risen above this zone. It has failed to close at for the past couple of weeks, right? Now let's go to the daily time frame. So I'm still waiting for price to take this counter trend line off properly. I want it to take out this counter trend line properly. We've broken above it. Looks like we've retested it, but we've not created any new higher high. So I like, because we've been pretty much bearish, so I would like to see price break this zone properly, giving me a clear higher high. Then I'll know that okay, this was a higher low all along, right? It looks like a higher low, but if we fail to create a higher high, then this never mattered in the first instance. So I'll be expecting price to take out this resistance area, then give me some kind of a pullback, and then I'll start looking for buys, and it's going to be a sweet and amazing trade, because I can't find, if we actually break clean and have a clean retest, I don't see anything holding this trade from rising all the way to the upside here. All right, so that is that for the oil. Then BTC, something interesting is happening on BTC. Let's look at it from the weekly time frame perspective. BTC has been pretty much super bullish for the past 2 weeks now, obviously, because this is the weekly time frame. So each of these candlesticks represents 1 week of price action. And we've created a new higher high on the weekly time frame. Now let's go to the daily time frame. On the daily time frame, it's obvious a new higher high has been created. This was a higher low before creating a new lower low. Now we've broken above that market structure. In fact, we have even closed above this previous market structure here, also looking further left. So I'll be expecting for price for next week. I'll be expecting price to give us some kind of a pullback. I don't know if that's a big ask, but anyways, we can't just enter in no man's land here. We can't. All right, we can't just enter here, because if we enter here, our stop loss will be out in the cold, and the safest place to put your stop loss will now be here. And if your profit target should be here and your stop loss here, you see that's a bad reward to risk. That's a bad risk management there. So I would like to see a pullback into this zone before market rise, or before price rises into this zone. Or, I like to think in probabilities. So I'm just going to capture this zone, or let me even go further left. I'm just going to capture this zone, right? See, I've captured here, because price reacted here before, bounced off. Then price reacted here before pushing price higher. Price reacted here before pushing price lower. And now it looks like we are breaking above it. So if price fails to come into this zone, then another thing I would like to see is for price to maybe go a little bit further above, then give us some pullback into this zone that has been tested multiple times. Then we can now buy, putting our stop loss below here and our take profit target around here. All right. So that is that for BTC. I think I'm just going to stop here for today, so that this video will not be too lengthy. So let's just stop here today. I'm going to send other charts that I failed to mention in this video on the Telegram channel. So click the Telegram channel. The link is going to be in the description below. If you like my videos, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. And if you don't, you may not win any trade next week. I'm just playing, guys. Have a successful trading week. Bye.